What's up, y'all? It's Joey the Preacher here, and today I want to talk about how to become more Christ-like. So, you hear a lot often when people talk about how they can grow the relationship with God, how can they build a connection with God. It's the basic things like constant prayer, reading the Bible, not sinning, stuff like that. And that's cool and all, but I want to talk about how you can actually imitate Christ, so you can become Christ-like, and how that can empower you to have the best connection you have with God. And it's really easy. It doesn't take that much. And ever since I've tried to imitate Christ more, I felt more happier, more clearer, and just been in more peace. So I wanted to help you guys on how to become more Christ-like. So the first person that actually tells us to follow Christ, or follow his example of Christ, is Paul. In his first epistle to the Corinthians, chapter 1, verse 11, he says, "Follow my example as I follow the example of Christ." This is basically a self-explanatory verse. Following Christ and becoming more Christ-like, by doing this, we can build a more stable connection with him, and through this connection, we can have lesser chances of falling into sin and reverting back to sinful practices before we met him. In Philippians chapter 3, verse 17, Paul encourages us to observe those who live Christ-like and follow after their steps and follow after their example. So what you can do, where can you find these Christ-like people? Well, they can be people that's in your family, like grandparents, parents. They can be your pastor. They can be people on social media. I know Pastor Philip Anthony Mitchell is a very good person who exemplifies Christ-like living. And they can also be athletes. Houston Texans quarterback C.J. Stroud, he is the prime example of what it means to imitate Christ by being an athlete. So of course, if we want to imitate Christ, we have to imitate his loving behavior. We have to walk in the way of love just as Christ walked in the way of love, and we have to love each other just as Christ did. He loved us so much that he died for us. And then Paul says that we are called to forgive others just as Christ forgave our sins. It wouldn't be fair to not forgive others, because we all needed forgiveness from Jesus Christ. We all needed that forgiveness for him, because if he did not forgive us, we would all be going to hell. We would all be suffering eternal torment. So just as Christ forgave us, we have to forgive everybody else. It doesn't matter how grave the sin is. We have to forgive cheating, murder, lying, theft, all those sins. We have to forgive people for doing. It sounds stupid. It sounds dumb. Because why should we forgive murderers, cheaters, all that type of stuff? But when you start looking at things in a spiritual way, when you start looking through the lens of Christ instead of the world, it makes a lot more sense. And plus, if we're going to imitate Christ, we have to imitate everything that he did in his life and he has continued to do. And finally, one of the main hallmarks of Jesus' way of life was his ever-enduring obedience and humility. Jesus' humility and obedience were central to his mission, so it must be central to our mission as Christians as well. Jesus remained obedient to the end, even when he was in the garden praying to God that this punishment, or not this punishment, this sacrifice that he had to do to go on the cross, to suffer a painful death, he prayed that this go over him. But you know what he said? He said, "Not my will, but your will be done." That's how obedient, and that's how, laser focused he was on this mission. Jesus endured the cross, set for the joy before him. He's a symbol to not grow tired of Christian duties and to always be obedient and forgiving and loving, just as he did. So now that you have the whys of why should we imitate Christ, now we can get into the how you can imitate Christ. And like I said in the beginning, it's very easy. A really easy way to start living Christ-like, and to give you a base of where to go off of, is to make a T-chart, okay, of what, and make this T-chart, on the left side, 5 things Jesus would do every day, and 5 things Jesus wouldn't do every day. Okay, and please, and don't be lazy. Don't write down lazy, um, things he would do. Like, of course he would pray. Of course he would read the Bible. Um, or if you want to write that down, you can. If you are struggling with it, but if you are already doing that, then you should try and find something else he wouldn't do. And you can use my example, which I'm going to show up on the screen momentarily. You can use my example, my team chart, as a base that you can go off of if you want. But that's all for today's video. I hope this video helped you on becoming more Christ-like, how to imitate Christ. Um, it's very important to live Christ-like because, like I said, when we do, our connection with God is very strong, and we are less likely to fall into sinful ways. And it just gives you so much more peace and happiness. Like, ever since I started imitating Christ, like I said, I've just been more happier, more at peace, and I've just seen the world more clearly. So, I want you guys to experience what I experienced. So, I hope you guys can start your Christ-like living today. Start as soon as possible. Don't wait a week. Don't wait a month. Please don't wait a year. Just start now. That's all I have for today's video. And until all are one, God bless.